Okay, we should be recording now. Welcome to the Sunday, September 20th meeting of the Natural Rights Sangha. We always start with a meditation, and I'd like you to set your timers. 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12, 20, however many minutes you'd like to meditate. Please set your timers so once I bang the gong, we can do so. Now, we meditate for mindfulness and inner peace. We just watch our breaths going in and out. We can watch them going by the tip of our nose and just focus on inhale, inhale, then exhale, exhale. You can do the Theravadan Buddhist practice of counting your breaths until another thought intervenes and then begin recounting again. And if a thought does intervene, don't yell at yourself, just let it go and start counting again. Yeah. So let's start our meditation. When I do the gong, please turn this off. When your ringer goes off, saying your meditation is over, you can turn this back on, and I'll ring the gong again, and we'll keep going. Sometimes those meditations can be timeless. Doesn't matter if it goes 2 minutes or 10 seconds or 20 minutes or 2 hours. I live on the West Coast of the United States. It's been a rough time for us. We're just coming out of wildfire smoke that has just been devastating. I was in Portland this week, and the smoke was devastating. When I drove out of there, it looked like a science fiction movie, like a wasteland, like some apocalyptic scene. I mean, and then I came to Seattle, and well, Portland was hell as far as smoke. And the day I came back to Seattle, it was purgatory. And then where I live out on the Olympic Peninsula, it was more like not heaven, but much more nice. The world's going through interesting times, species extinctions, the climate change that's causing so much mayhem. Eventually, economic disruptions will occur, social disruptions will occur. They're already occurring. A lot of the immigrants in the Middle East to Europe left because of droughts, kicking them off their farms. They could no longer farm. They had to go to a place where they had a chance to live. When this happens to northern India with the Ganges River, the Ganga, as they say in India more correctly, when the Ganga goes out, and it's going to, the way they're doing things, what are hundreds of millions of people going to do? To look for water, to grow their crops, to drink. India has a quarter of the world's population. So does China, or about, maybe just 20%. What's going to happen when they're all looking for a place to live with better climate and more water? Well, what we as members of the Natural Rights Sangha can do is do what we can. I mean, we can't swoop in like Superman and save the day for the whole world, unfortunately. But by living by the precepts, we're doing what we can to do this, I believe. Now, my teacher, Ramesh Balsekar, he was very concerned about the poor and the poverty-stricken of India, and he took a certain amount of his paycheck every month and found out the welfare agencies that were the most reputable and took the least for the executive bonuses and things like this, and donated that to those people. I've done what I can do within reason, and so I have to let that go. There are various things we can do. We can recycle, we can attempt to do the things that are most environmentally correct. We can encourage others to do so. There's another issue happening right now that hits us right in two precepts, and that's the one to not harm others and the one to protect others. Right now, there are a lot of angry, unhappy, violent people out there. Not a lot as far as out of 300 and some million in America, but enough as far as thousands of them that it's a concern for us. Percentage-wise, this group that's willing to get violent is very small, but they make a lot of noise and they get a lot of press. And there is a chance that when you're on the road or going into the town, you will meet these people. And they often are looking for a fight. They will want to find a reason to come after you for some reason, it seems. So, what to do? I heard a discussion last night, and the person was talking about how to fight, how to fight, how to fight, how to fight them, how to fight them. And the other person said, no, we don't want to fight them. That's doing it their way. We want to show them by example how it can be done. So to me, that was a great message, to be an exemplar of what can be done, as opposed to going about it their way. I believe that's what Gandhi tried to do very much with his so-called passive resistance, which he never called passive. He says, I'm very active. He preferred the phrase active, peaceful resistance as opposed to passive, and I think that's more accurate. We are active but peaceful people in the Natural Rights Sangha, yes? At least that's what I hope we are. Now, another bit of research that came in this week is a friend forwarded me a link to some programs by a person named Bigtree. Now, this person I had not heard of except ephemerally before, but I watched programs about this by this person, interviews of this person, and he came across as intelligent, logical, reasonable, well educated on his subject. And he is a TV producer, sometimes a director and a writer, who was working in medical shows when he began to find out things about vaccines. And he became distressed because what he was finding out was not being reported in the big corporations by the big news media. So he began to take it upon himself to make documentaries and do this. So of course I looked him up, and he's called discredited in Wikipedia and all these places. And I went, well, why is he discredited? What discredited him? And it seems like most of what they have to discredit him is itself questionable. And the biggest thing they can do is just say he's discredited, so you don't need to listen to him. Now, again, one of our precepts in the Natural Rights Sangha is to examine everything carefully, whether it's the words of Jesus or Buddha or Ramana Maharshi or any teacher, anything. And I hope we apply this not just to spiritual things, but political, economic, or social, or historical, or whatever, to examine things carefully. So I don't accept someone saying someone's discredited. I say, why are they discredited, and what are they saying to make people angry? Sometimes it's obvious. And sometimes you have to put on the thinking cap and just read and listen to what they're saying. and then go, does this make sense? And one of the things that's very interesting that Del Bigtree brought up was that the CDC has access to millions of medical records. And in those medical records are tens of thousands of people who never got a vaccine. And Del Bigtree points out that he was in a meeting with Anthony Fauci and all these other people years ago. And he said, look, you guys can get us all to shut up. Do a study of your own data. Look at your own data. Prove to us that the people who've had all the vaccines are healthier than those who haven't. Just do it's easy, it's right there. People who've had vaccines, people who haven't, cross-correlate to cancer, immune deficiency disorders, etc., and see who has the higher percentage. Just do it. And if the vaccine people have fewer, we're done. We're on your side. We'll go with you forever, man. Just show us the data. And according to this person, Fauci and other people said, we'll never publish the results of that study. In fact, they said they'd never do the study. But the thought that any scientist with any credence whatsoever would not do such a study, given the information and the ease with which it could be collated with modern computer technology, something's wrong there. And something is wrong there, which is one of the big things we in the Natural Rights Sangha have in our precepts, is the right to refuse things which could be harmful to us, as was mandated by the spiritual greats throughout all history. So Del Bigtree is the person's name. He's done many movies, documentaries. He's won suits against the CDC for many things. He works with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., another discredited person, and works with all sorts of controversial people, at least controversial from the standard medical model side. And I believe he's worth checking out. But again, don't believe me. Listen to him, do your research, see what you think. And by the way, I'd love to hear from you on this. I would love to hear from you on this. Let me know your response, how things go for you and these things. Any questions, comments, anything at all, please write to me at mark@naturalrightsongha.org, and I'd be happy to respond. It's an interesting time for the board of directors of the Natural Rights Sangha. Our member Ralph Davis from Portland, Maine, can't travel overseas because Americans are not wanted. We're considered harbingers of disease and doom. Baron Flory, our musician Kalidas in India, still is in India, and very happily they are extending visas for people who are stuck there, in essence. Our friend Tony, who is not a member officially, but is certainly a supporter, he doesn't join anything. He's in Nepal, and they extended all of the people who were stuck there's visas till mid-December, which is a godsend, because the Nepali government listened to the people and said, yeah, that's only fair, and they did it, which is great. I myself am leaving on a around the US trip this Tuesday on the 22nd. If there's ever a time I'm late with a Sunday meeting, it's because something happened on the road and I wasn't able to get her done, and I hope that doesn't happen, but I just want to mention it. And the reason I'm going on around the US trip is partly for sales for my business. Hopefully there'll be some good sales out there, and also to see friends and relatives I haven't seen in a long time, and also to see states of the Union I've never visited. I have visited most of them, but I've missed a few, and I'm going to see them all on this trip if things go as planned. So remember the precepts. Yeah. Come back to those basics whenever it gets too stressful. Just go. So let's finish with the four measurables. So first we'll do it for ourselves. So please say I, and then we'll switch to we afterwards. So please repeat after me. May I have happiness and the causes of happiness. May I be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I never be separate from the happiness that is free of sorrow. May I reside in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Okay, so now think of we. You can think of the cosmic we, everybody, which is really all that is. You can think of that as we. You can think of we as in you and your friends, or you and your family, or you and your sweetie, or you can include people you don't like so much, and you kind of they push your buttons. You can include them in this and try to be an exemplar of how to be in relation to how they might appear to be. Yes. So let's go to the we now. It can be every sentient being in the universe, the whole universe, everything. Or you and your puppy. Okay, so please repeat after me the four immeasurables. May we have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May we never be separate from the happiness that is free of sorrow. May we reside in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion. Well, thank you for being here this week. May the airs be fresh for you, the weather nice, and the temper of people around you mellow and open. Enjoy the precepts, enjoy life, and blessings.